I'm going to post a video and show you what happened to me the other night at the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board of Trustees meeting. I was given 4 minutes to speak. I was cut off a minute in. I was told that my comments are endangering gender diverse folks. I'm also going to read to you the rest of the statement that I did not get a chance to read. But before I do that, I want to make something clear. The main point I was trying to make, and I'd still like the opportunity to make this point, is that under this current bathroom inclusion policy, anyone from the general population, not a trans person, not a non-binary person, but anyone can pretend to be something they're not and identify as something they're not to gain access to these bathrooms, to these change rooms for whatever reason. And that is a risk that I don't think is fair for them to ask us parents just to accept. There's a solution. We should be able to talk about it. And here's what happened.
My notes, thank you. My name is Nick Morabito. I'm a father of 4 children in the school board at 3 schools. My daughters are 10, 12. My sons are 14 and 16. The 6 of us have lived in Manotick for 10 years, and I grew up in Canada. I became aware a few weeks ago that trans students, in particular students that were assigned a male gender at birth, are allowed to use the same bathroom unsupervised as my 12-year-old daughter. Having a 14-year-old boy and having been a 14-year-old boy before, and as a male knowing how sexually driven a male's body is at the age of 13 onwards, this did not sit well with me. I wasn't present at the board meeting that pushed this policy through, and I can't figure out when this was done. My oldest friends can attest to my belief in the safety and inclusivity of all people. I always have. But this is about having appropriate and safe boundaries for progression and doing things in line with the parental community's wishes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morabito, on the grounds that this creates an unsafe environment for people who identify as gender diverse, I'm going to have to ask you to end your delegation.
How does this provide an unsafe environment? Can anyone answer me that? What? Should not be answered?
That's what they do.
We're going to take a 2-minute recess.
You guys are cowards, honestly. I have a 10 and 12-year-old daughter. I have every right to speak.
He was given 4 minutes.
He had 4 minutes to speak. Who are you to stop him? You work for the public. He's a member of the public and a concerned parent. You're not even listening to him. You're not even listening to him.
You really should. I used all the right verbiage. So what recourse do I have for this concern? I'm not alone in this concern, right? I emailed Lynn Scott and I emailed the one from my area, and I got no email back. So what recourse do I have? So I just get it.
Can you speak a little louder so we can all hear?
No, I'm just having a private.
Why? Why is it private?
We're in a public arena.
Why is
here.
it private?
It's a public
I'm gonna
meeting.
have to ask you to please leave.
No, this is a public meeting.
No, you work for the public too.
It's a private property. I'm sorry that it's.
It's not private property. It's paid
Yes,
for by the
no, it is.
taxpayers. No, it's not.
Sir, trust me, I know.
It's not. No, you don't know. It's not private property. It's paid for by the taxpayers of this community.
Yes, it is, but it's. private
Correct?
property
Then that makes it public
Please
property.
leave the property. I don't want this to be.
All I was asking for
Goddamn.
with some parental involvement, because no one knows when this was
We're getting a
done.
lot of parental involvement through the strategic plan.
You only listen to what you want to listen to. Let them talk. Let them talk.
I don't think it's a policy.
It's
But people are allowed to access the washroom.
It's right here in your, this document is gender expression
Right.
guideline.
Yeah, that is.
And like, you have gender neutral bathrooms, why not just use those? No, but they can use whatever they want. I've got a 12-year-old daughter and 14-year-old men, trans persons equipped with 14-year-old men's bodies. Right? Like, do you have a daughter? Yeah. Do you think that's safe? You don't think that there's predators around?
Well, I think there are, but I think.
Yeah. You don't think that someone could...
And you know who they all are?
No.
course you don't know, but that's his concern.
I'm gonna have to ask you.
You know what, I'll be back. I'll deal
No,
with
that's
this
fair.
in another way.
Like, I'm not telling you not to, I'm just saying.
Now, you're asking us to leave under what premise?
This is private property. I look after the public capacity.
Private property, I'll be looking
Man,
at
that's
it.
4 minutes
Taxes
to
and our
speak
children
today.
go to your schools. Do we not have the right to sit and listen to your meeting? You can sit and listen if you're not gonna interrupt. That's true. If you just wanna sit and.
You interrupted him. That's what
Tell him
happened.
what he did wrong so that he can continue with making his point.
We need to get back on with our meeting.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
see,
have
it's always
20
the same
minutes for
excuse.
delegations.
And it's
We
going
have
on all over the
taxes,
country,
and we
Gilbert.
want to be
Don't talk
heard.
just like you're stupid.
Please, get you.
Well, once he has his 4 minutes.
Please let me know what I
we'll-
can do.
Once he has his
How
4
can I
minutes.
continue this discussion?
What is it that he did wrong? Like, somebody did wrong so he can make sure he doesn't make that mistake and he can be heard. Like, we're taxpaying concerned parents and we have a right to speak and to be heard.
Thank you.
You.
And it's not just that, but our daughters, like, they may start menstruating, and they need to take care of those needs, and they have a male, like, biological male right beside them sharing a bathroom. Are you kidding? Like, when do we put the comfort, like, when there's a gender
You
neutral
have a daughter,
bathroom?
no? Yeah, and you think this is fine? You've got gender neutral bathrooms for a reason. Why can't they be used?
Why can't they be used? Like, why are we making
Just
for
until you
small
revisit the
community,
policy with
making
some
everybody else
community
more
involvement?
uncomfortable and potentially unsafe? It doesn't make any sense.
It's called exclusion to try to have them use those bathrooms.
This-
Exclude people and that's exclusion.
Why weren't boys allowed in girls' bathrooms 3 years ago or 6 years ago? What was the thinking back then? The same applies now, right? 10 years ago. The same thing applies. The first line of this colorful document is that all families and students of all gender identities should feel physically and emotionally safe.
But that's not
So
the case.
how is, so we're being excluded now, our daughter is being excluded, our two daughters, your daughters may be being excluded, however they identify. They're not, how are they meant to feel emotionally and physically safe?
So, picking up where I was cut off, I was saying this is about having appropriate and safe boundaries for progression and doing things in line with the parental community's wishes. I wonder how many parents here tonight even know that trans female students, traditionally classified as male in gender, are allowed in their daughters' bathrooms and change rooms unsupervised when each school has a gender-neutral private bathroom that can be used instead. The gender policies in this document that I'm holding were first drafted in 2016. I can't seem to find the board meeting minutes where the parents were involved in agreeing to any of these policies. Yes, these policies are a reflection of the Ontario Human Rights Code, but they could have been implemented in such a way to satisfy the entire community. The first line of this document states that all students and families of students need to feel physically and emotionally safe. A gender-neutral bathroom seems like the safest and most comfortable place for a student who identifies as trans or non-binary. Pretending that sexual predators don't exist and that someone can't simply pretend to be trans or non-binary to take advantage of this loophole, or pretending that there is no risk or no reason to be concerned that a student with a 14-year-old young man's body is in the bathroom unsupervised with our daughters as young as 12, or pretending that changing in the change room naked and being exposed to unsuspecting girls of all ages is not a cause for concern, or at the very least an infringement on those girls' safe space, comfort, and rights, is the issue I am speaking to tonight. When a sexual harassment, indecent exposure, or safety incident does happen, how does this help the trans community? It doesn't. When you have angry parents who are forced to pick a side on policies like this, when they would typically support all things related to inclusivity, but have no choice but to object to this, how does that help the trans community? It doesn't. I'm calling on board members tonight to do the following so that parents can get involved, make their voices heard in terms of how we move forward as a community with inclusivity policies through dialogue. I have two simple requests tonight. Number one, that the board direct the Advisory Committee on Equity to oversee the process of revisiting this policy where parents and the community are involved, and that the new policy be a reflection of open dialogue with the community. And two, via email, send out an announcement to the schools that starting tomorrow morning and until this issue is resolved, the trans and non-binary students are to only use the gender-neutral bathrooms until further notice. That's my time. I'm happy to answer questions or provide clarification on my requests.